and good evening. Welcome to the Deltahead stream. I am James Howell. Tonight we're going to do part 2 of Resident Evil 4 Remake. New Game Plus, hardcore difficulty. And I've been playing through on professional on my own. And there's a neat strategy that I have come upon that is very cheesy. And I don't know if I'm going to ultimately feel good using it to crowd control a lot of areas that are quite difficult in hardcore in professional difficulty. But nonetheless, it is fun. It is amusing, and it actually does take a bit of skill in order to manage. So I'm going to show you that too. Apologies for my voice; it's a little scratchy tonight. I did not get a whole lot of sleep last night, and that tends to make the I think of a good night's sleep as clearing the speech out from the day before. And so there are a few of yesterday's words still stuck up in here. Pardon me. So, quick pregame show. What have I been reading? So I started reading this by C.S. Lewis, Till We Have Faces, A Myth Retold. This is a retelling of the myth of Cupid and Psyche, and engaging Lewis is really interesting. I no longer have the benefit of a naive reading of Lewis, I think, which is where a lot of his Christian apologetics are very impactful for people of the faith, and are also off-putting for people who are not. Is that there's often like a naive reading where you come to him knowing kind of like what the general area of his interests are, and then you kind of know what he has to say. Having studied Lewis to some depth many years ago, I basically come prepared to know how to read this, and I get to see what Lewis does well and what he what I think carries over from weaknesses from his other work. And I think that this is the sort of thing that I actually wish he were known better for. Lewis's approach to myth and myth making is novel, and I think that his apologetics work kind of has kind of left him as the sort of like in popular imagination a poor man's Tolkien, which is unfair to him because they're both doing very different things. And I think The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe has become a little Christmas specialty in terms of how people conceive that story and what it does. This is much less on the nose in terms of the materials that Lewis brings over from Christianity. And to that end, I think is actually far more compelling as a way of sort of pursuing his creative project. And one of the things that is extremely fascinating is how uses a different context to show a time and place in history where there were two cultural forces converging, one a Greek intellectual tradition and the other a religious tradition that involved regular sacrifice, and how these two things exist simultaneously and create something that is a very special point in time and history. And he does that very well, and I think that stepping outside of his familiar sort of stomping grounds and the kind of just what we sort of know him for popularly, I think is a better way of understanding what he has to offer. And kind of rabbit trailing down that, Lewis was a professor, professor of medieval literature and romantic literature. I mean, he was a medievalist. He and Tolkien were both linguists, philologists, as the term was in the day. And as a result, my interests being medievalist as well, that's always very compelling to me. So following a rabbit trail of his stuff, I've managed to go down a rabbit hole of stained glass window art from the 15th centuries. And one thing that is really interesting to me, Saint Joseph is the patron saint of fathers and workers, and I did not know that. And I have found there is a whole genre of stained glass illustration of Saint Joseph that shows him like teaching Jesus how to be a carpenter, and I find this incredibly touching. And many of his stained glass sort of aspects. There's him as a father, and then there's also him as a worker. So he's posed in stained glass with a right angle ruler, with a bezel, and whatever this thing is. Anyway, the tools of carpentry, and so there's that, and then the more narrative moments do show him teaching like 12-year-old Jesus how to be a carpenter, and it's very touching. I didn't know that existed, and that was a nice rabbit hole to go down. On the other rabbit hole I've been going down, the other saint of the moment, which is El Santo. So yeah, in as part of my attempt to understand this and understand Santo more, I've got several of the comic books that were published prior to his film career, and it's a particular kind of comic book genre that's flourished in Mexico, the fotonovela, and where they basically take pictures of real people in environments like blank rooms, blank walled rooms. Then they snip out the pictures and then put them on an illustrated background and touch them up in different ways. And so it's really interesting watching how that ring persona gets taken and turned into that medium. And yeah, it's a great way to look at how like really just two generations prior from the current one conceived of and elaborated upon their legends and built them up. Um, Lucha, one of the things that is endlessly a joy to me about Lucha is how its personae, the personae of its performers and its characters draw from myth, science fiction, and horror. Like Tinieblas, I believe Darkness is just a giant of a man, and his origin is science fiction. Like he's a being from outer space who has been with the Earth prior to the Earth's having humanity, and his home base is underneath a giant pyramid. And then you have Blue Demon, who I believe is in fact of infernal origin, but has a golden spirit. And then you have other things like Fishman, which kind of harkens back to Swamp Things and the like. So it's incredibly imaginative, and seeing and El Santo is this kind of really cool middle line of genre hero and sort of spiritual godfather of lucha libre. And yeah, and I will. I'm gonna hunt through these to show you some of the panels. It's really, he's got a jetpack, and Evening Space Hamlet. He's got a jetpack, and I think by issue 15 he's flying around with a single rocket jetpack, with a kid who also has a single rocket jetpack, and then goes off and flies and saves a damsel in distress and this sort of thing. And many problems are, of course, solved by pro wrestling, and that is as it should be. Evening Roundelay, it's good to see you. Yeah, so them's my saints. I caught the replay of the Rey Mysterio Jr. and Dominique Mysterio match from WrestleMania, the most recent one. That is a fascinating match to watch. The bullhorn histrionics of American pro wrestling are not to my taste, but what is good about that, what is excellent about that match, is everything. The story is told entirely in the ring, and knowing a little bit of background about sort of like those characters and how they've evolved, especially how Eddie Guerrero factors into their whole sort of backstory, helps. But what is lovely about it is that it tells the entire story encapsulated within that match, and it explores some really fascinating cross-generational questions, striving for independence versus finding a bad group of friends. Like how does a parent handle their kid going off and striking and making an identity for themselves that isn't the direction that they thought they raised them in? How does a kid go back and prove himself to a family and try to cut ties, but also try to prove that he's better than them on their own terms? So it resonates as a story, and along those lines, my curiosity has led me to go back and to get to know Rey Mysterio Jr.'s matches better. So I rented a 3-disc set of all the way from Mysterio's first real American performance, outside of I think his first professional performance in America, and then sort of the momentum of his career. And it's interesting. It's interesting watching that match, the most recent one, then kind of circling back around to a sort of an origin point, and seeing who he was as a young man, probably roughly about the same age that Dominique is. So yeah, it's a good time, and a lot to think about. I kind of wish there were a book club for these matches, but yeah. With that in mind, I think we're ready to get started. This is Resident Evil 4 and Space Hamlet and Roundelay. How are you tonight? Let's get this iPad up here so I can send you chat. Getting too warm. What's the temperature like out there? You are in New York City, am I right? Or have you moved on to different grounds? Gotcha. Yeah, I hear that New York City is frankly blistering in in summer. By contrast, it has been it's kind of like the circling back around to sweater temperatures here. So I went out to kick a soccer ball today, and I had to put on some long sports pants because shorts were uncomfortably cold. Evening, Dan. It's good to see you. I'm not looking forward to what the summer is going to do to my electricity bill. This is most of the houses in the Pacific Northwest, as I've complained frequently on this stream, don't have central air, so you have to put up individual units, and that is just squeezing dollars out of your bank account for your utilities. Yeah, I am again, as somebody who is new to this. Let me turn the volume back up on the game audio. I am only sort of recently learning about McMahon's impact. And it does seem to be choking the creativity and frankly accessibility to the performances. But yeah, I think I am removed from the politics of all of it, all of the different venues and what do you call them? Empresas in Mexico, promotions. That's it. But I mean, a monopoly never helps, right? And that seems to be like the sort of empire that he's created, and that. And I also seem to remember reading somewhere that he stripped a lot of health care from a lot of wrestlers and this sort of thing. So, no, I don't. And the fact that he and Donald Trump apparently are very close and share many same approaches makes him all the more dubious in retrospect. So. Oh, Evening Final Technique. That book is Till We Have Faces, A Myth Retold. This is, it is a retelling of the myth of Cupid and Psyche, and is outside of, well, not even outside, I don't think you could put it outside of Lewis's sort of spiritual ontological concerns, but within that, he does an excellent job of exploring what the darker side of love looks like, jealous love, that sort of thing. And it's very powerful. I recommend it. The Wrestler, is that with Mickey Rourke? Is that it? Alright, so I want to show you this goofball thing that I do. Well, it's a shame that even watching that that does not provide the catharsis that we would all wish to have from having and continuing to live with Donald Trump in the public eye. Yes, I did see that. I thought it was excellent. The contrast between backstage, sort of the heartfelt backstage banter versus the violence that's out in the ring is that is one of the contradictions of relationships in that world that is very fascinating to me. Okay, let's see. I think it's this one. Yeah. So again, I'm not totally sure this is how I want to do my professional run through, but I have enjoyed fleshing out the strategy, so I'll show that to you. And please let me know how the audio is balanced. It should be mostly the same from last time, but I tweaked it a little bit to work with the headphones. Yep. As all of us do, I come from many worlds, and one of them would be very embarrassed to like or enjoy pro wrestling, and I am glad that there is some touchstone out there that shows the dignity and humanity behind it to those who would scoff. So yeah, so here is so you run through here. The reason I shot that woman is because this dash tends to get interrupted pretty easily. So here's one part. Trim that. Get going. Whoop. And this is what we're going to defend. Let's see if there's any ammunition over here that we might want. Nope. So, here, TMP. Super useful. So this is going to look... This is interesting because it is kind of cheap. At the same time, as this encounter progresses, the cheapness, it actually becomes quite a bit harder to maintain. So the value here is not just being able to shoot them in the face with a machine gun easily. When they fall, they take damage. So, and when something falls on them, they take damage as well. So if you get a bunch of them down here underneath, like I want these guys to come join the party. If you can get them falling on top of each other, you can actually damage them, do a lot more damage without using as many bullets. And there's a bull guy coming up over there. So let's just...
Here you go.
Oh. Oh, this is, like I said, like you can lose control of this. Oh, this is where you lose control of it. Ah!
Sorry.
Wow! What a great intersection of VFX. Alright, let's try that again. Yes, fall damage to save ammo. That's right. I love how this game still has a thing. I think in the original RE4, when you load up from a save, Leon slowly sinks down as his character model finds the floor. And I think the same thing happens here. I have not watched anything else other than The Wrestler by Aronofsky. Aronofsky. That's enough instances of the same vowel between different consonants to make my brain mix up the order of the consonants. Alright, so do that. Do that. Alright, so my flaw last time was
God damn it.
I didn't pay enough attention to my reloading. I got stuck with an empty magazine. Woohoo! So for the bull guy, there are a couple of obstacles that I can take advantage of here that will help do extra damage. One of them is this thing right here that whose wire I cut. So I want to pay attention to his arrival and shoot that when he gets here, because he is by far the biggest threat out of all of this. You down there yet?
Here you go.
There we go. That's a big boy you want to knock down. And in a pinch, just go ahead and knock them off with a shotgun. Haha! He's down. That's... Or unless he dropped his hammer up here? Is that possible to do? Oh, no, he's down. So yeah, it's a combination of all those explosions. Plus fall damage.
Next.
Oh, do I hear somebody mutating? I think I do. There you go. You guys just hanging out down there? What's your deal? Oh, wow. There we go. Am I gonna get a snake in this too? Nope, too far. Alright, so here's our last... Wait. Oh, wait. Did you come back? Weird. Wow. Oh, wow, that was great. I either knocked him back into the tripwire or my bullet went through him and hit the tripwire. Either way, great. So, yeah. I was doing that for like 2 hours last night, trying to get the rhythm of it down. So, the great thing about that is, yeah, you save ammo. Yeah, you notice I didn't run out of anything on anything. And now you can just run through this whole area and just collect stuff. Kick them when they reach the top? Do you mean, like, stagger them and then kick them? Let's see. Oh yeah, you got all this right here. That's fun. Oh, I want to show you. I got the most useless collection of bangles to attach to my, to put on my attaché case. I will show you. This is actually one of the better better outcomes of the strategy on my professional save. So before we jump back into the hardcore New Game Plus, I'm gonna actually wrap this up and put a save, put a bow on it with a save. Yeah. So. Roundhouse kick, yeah, I think the roundhouse kick is only in the event that they're staggered from a headshot. All right. So probably the smart strategy for professional for trying to get S+ is probably just to run straight through here, knife the door, and ooh, egg. Knife the door and then grab the fuel and then run away.
This is what I'm talking about.
Is what I expect. Yeah, the fall damage. I was actually screwing around in a different area, just kind of enjoying the zen of watching them fall, and then I realized that they were dying much more quickly. And not just because they were falling, but because they were being fallen on. At least that is how it seems. I don't have not looking at the back end of the numbers there, so I am surmising. That's right, friendly fire. Ah, no, I don't want to go back down there. Wow, I have not played this game with headphones. I've only been playing with the non-soundbar audio on my TV. I am now appreciating how crisp and snappy the audio is on this. So, there's you. Oh yeah, how are you, Dan? And what are you reading? Oh my god. I marvel that that if I were to be in a mosh pit now, it would ruin me for weeks. It's amazing the kinds of things you can do when your body will bounce back within like 24 hours. Okay. So yeah, this is it's very rare on professional that you're going to wind up with a totally full case like this, and you know, one of the upshots of doing something that is cheesing, it is a cheese strategy while also not being easy. Oh man. Uh, let's see. What if I made some shotgun shells? I can't do that. What if I made a flash grenade? That's suspect. What if I made some bolts? That will be useful later. That's going to clear up some space. Oh, awesome, Space Hamlet. Whereabouts, well, whereabouts in it are you? Yeah, the books, the books, there. So this is a difference between the Peter Jackson films and uh, Tolkien's writing that leads me to favor Tolkien's writing. Um, the Jackson movies are very big. They're very epic. They're very they're kind of like basically they're very definitions of those things, right? For modern film watching, and something that the books capture better. And I think that this owes to the fact that they are print and that you can only read them solo. You know, you're reading them and it's in your mind rather than a social event. Is that amid this grandeur and amid all this these shifting landscapes, there is a sort of an intimacy. I mean, a fellowship, right? That I feel like the act of reading conveys better, and also that the writing itself shows. The people get down on Tolkien's descriptions of landscapes, which is really weird because it's like, I mean, he wasn't writing it for an audience with a modern attention span. He was probably writing it for an audience that was here for it, you know. Uh, and so that complaint always seems to me a little misplaced, even though I do sympathize with the desire to get on with it. Should recognize that some things are not made for me. Space Hamlet. One other piece of writing that I would highly recommend by Tolkien is The Monsters and the Critics. Something that I think, a useful piece of context that I think is missing from people who read Tolkien and also people who sort of dismiss Lewis as being a lesser Tolkien, is exactly how in their circle and in their worlds, reading fantasy and enjoying fantasy, enjoying the fantastic and the monstrous and the imaginative, carried a legitimate and consequential social stigma that
Take a look. Something's bound to catch your eye.
yeah, like this typewriter, um, and and so you will get a clearer sense of that hidden aspect of the context if you read Tolkien's essay *The Monster and the Critics*, which is one of my favorite pieces of criticism, period, but also one about a subject that's very close to my heart, which is Old English imaginative literature, Beowulf specifically. Meaning that he addresses the fact that a lot of critics, in attempting to be serious and distance themselves from all that ridiculous pagan nonsense of imaginative, creations, that in doing that, we are costing ourselves something very valuable that we can get from literature. That the monsters do not exist to symbolize or to be properties, but in a real way to embody to embody something. In other words, he argues against intellectualizing them away and lets them be monstrous, and it's very powerful, I think. Oh yeah. Le Guin's. Are you talking about the Norton anthology with the onion skin pages? Dan, can you remind me the name of the Bulgakov novel? 1001 Stories About Orbs. Oh, let me show you. So here, probably the most useless pair of danglies that I can get, but nonetheless, I have one here, Don Pedro with the Las Plagas eruption, plus 40% health recovery for Vipers. Then I have Isabel, plus 30% health recovery for Vipers. So, that's cool, considering you get Vipers in maybe like, what, 5 areas of the game. But yeah, it's probably going to be useful in the short term here because I've got like 3 Vipers and actually
Welcome.
only need to sell one of them.
What you buying? Perfect. You're a real professional. Nice work.
Master and Margarita, that's it. Thank you. I'm still on, I think, the last 25 pages of the Book of Lamentations by Castellanos, and the gruesomeness of the child sacrifice scene really just kind of stuck with me. From an aesthetic art point of view, for the art of the novel, I don't object to it. I think it is necessary to be as heavy as it is. It is not a light thing as a topic, and certainly not a light thing in the context of that book. But nonetheless, it's the sort of thing that makes you go, okay, I'm gonna kind of take a breath for a little bit here and then come back to this. I think I can handle the populist-driven massacre better than I can handle that, which is what follows the sacrifice. Not to spoil it for you. So now we can go back to the save file that we are playing on, which is this guy. Yes. Since we did this last, I got the hand cannon from Mercenaries, and I think I have the Killer 7. Oh, I'm so tempted to ditch that and power up the hand cannon. Evening, Mahafun. How are you? It's been a while. Pardon me. All right. Sure. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Right, I've got my red 9. Right, I'm just now approaching the church. Ah! Oh god. This leaf right here rushed the screen in such a way that I thought it was an enemy, and I actually got jump scared by the vegetation. Yeah.
A church. I made it.
Evening, Roundelay. I'm sorry. Roundelay, I already greeted you. Hi! Aw, you digging a grave? Dig this. You know what? I have a ton of these. Ah! You know, I would have sworn that the frag shrapnel from that grenade would have damaged him a little, but no. I'm gonna get my knife healed back up. Mahafun, is that from the movies? I don't remember that.
I have something I think you like. Welcome. Got some
The,
rare things on sale, stranger. Good as new. Give that the care it deserves, mate.
the last time I watched the Ring movies,
Thank you.
I actually think was when they were in the theaters. I liked them well enough, but I'd read the book well before, so when they came out, I was like, "Oh, this is cool! Somebody made a movie out of these. Well, that's cool." That was. I'm sure that people will do the usual thing and roll their eyes at the movie adaptation after a little while and go, "Yeah, but it's not as good as the book." But wow, was I wrong? Yep. Bonk. Uh, I have not seen any of the Hobbit movies. When I saw that there was a trilogy for what was easily one of the shortest stories in that whole deal, I,
Damn it.
regardless of the quality of the thing, I kind of checked out.
Condor 1 to Roost. The church is sealed up. Negative. Nothing yet.
It's also a shame because
Sure you have this place locked up tight.
the guy they cast as Bilbo is an actor who I quite like. I was
Oh,
Tim
geez.
on The Office?
That's for
Oh, wait.
sure. I'll find a way in. Condor 1 out.
That's right. She talks through this thing here. Martin Freeman, yeah. I like Martin Freeman a lot. I really like how they kept all of the treasure types from the original. I think what's his name? It's not Daniel Radcliffe. That's the other youth actor of the day. Elijah Wood. That's it. Remember reading somewhere Elijah Wood saying that they made a point of learning learning the languages, Tolkien's languages, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, it seems like the Peter Jackson movies would go that hardcore, right?
Lake. Let's hope for no more surprises.
Man, Molotov cocktail, like, when it explodes just because you kind of dropped it on the ground. There we go. Gotta figure, man, you should get some thicker glass.
Ahí va eso.
Lady, I don't think you know the kind of ladder foo that you're up against. These guys are actually a bit harder to knock down. Rise and Fall of Dodo. No, is by the caps that you have on there, I am assuming that Dodo is an acronym for something? Or just maybe the severest, and I mean the severest version of that bird ever to exist. You then can get a beat on you. What does Dodo stand for? Oh, I missed the treasure. Oh, wow, I missed a bunch of treasures. One of my goals this playthrough is to get all the treasures I can. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I can go back there to get those. Oh, man, I hope I can make it back to the valley. Actually, this might be the time to turn around and go back and get those. So that's what we're going to do. Department of Diachronic Operations. Interesting. No, what's the genre? Is that... I mean, I would assume if it's magic, it's fantasy. Oh man, there was a fantasy book that I remember feeling was good enough to be, I mean, it was interesting enough to read, but maybe not interesting enough to read twice. Nonetheless, it has been stuck in the craw of my brain for the past month. I've been trying to remember what the hell it is, and I can't for the life of me. And I don't have enough details that I could reliably Google for it. It's like, what am I going to do? Look up fantasy novel I read in 2001 Neat Magic System, not Brandon Sanderson. You know, that doesn't all work. So I'm a little at a loss there to I'm at a bit of a loss to try to find out whatever the hell that was. Yep, that's what it is. I remember it was like the word that comes to mind is like primary colors, elemental, very basic. Again, it's like I want to go to the Bradenton, Florida public library, and I want to see like, hey, do you guys still have the records of my checkout history? Wow, as long as it takes to get from point A to go all the way across the map this way, while you're actually playing through it, this is awfully quick jaunt. Oh no, I didn't know that about the union busting. The Magician's Guild? Maybe? I mean, it was... I want to say it was very 90s fantasy. Who the hell is still here? Okay. I have one treasure up there, one treasure over here. That treasure is the one I want to go for. You can see it here. Yep. The Magician's Guild. I'll look that up and see if that matches. I straight up did not know that could happen. Oh man, that was great. But no, my memories of it is, you know, are. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! All right, well, I'm gonna spend the whole 3 minutes gonna take to run back there. I seem to remember kid from normal world getting spirited away to Fantasyland, attaining a moderate level of power in Fantasyland, then getting wish to return back to normal world. Return to normal world was not what it seemed. The magic system was very basic and elemental, and elements obviously exist in the regular world. And then a return to Fantasyland? And then a resolution.
Took care of her request, did ya? I can tell by the look.
I gotta admire somebody who finishes a sentence when you're like 15 feet away. But yeah, so it's like real simple and archetypal is kind of how I think, what I think it was. But the magic was very elemental based, and God, it just kills me. So there's another thing to this. That book was recommended to me by a friend, and he checked it out, and then returned it to the library, and then I checked it out, and I kind of want to go to him, and I want to say, like, hey, do you remember this book that you recommended me? At the same time, the ridiculousness of asking somebody if they remember a literally forgettable, at least half forgettable on my part, fantasy novel that they recommended to somebody back in 2001 is, you know what, I think I'm just going to lean into it and own the ridiculousness of the request, so I'm going to ask him. I think all of this is structurally suspect, Dan, if I'm going to be honest with you. I wonder if I can trigger that bridge collapse, or if that's something that only they can do. Ba-boom! Alright. Was it you who did that? I'm really curious now who chopped that thing. Thank you for all the suggestions, Roundley. I'm going to do some Google searching and browsing some first pages of samples on Amazon to see if any of these resonate. That's how you shoot a lock. Alright, I think it's you, lady. Alright, I'm gonna try to run across again. I'm super curious how that happened. Can you even jump down here? You're just gross and stuck up there now. That's true. That bridge is mercurial. It is ready to buy a social media website and tank it at any moment. I have got to tell you, something that annoys me is how much the word mercurial has now become the public image property of Elon Musk. Out of all the things in the world they could claim as a unique thing to him that they could try to own, I did not think that was going to be one of them. Mercurial. Yeah. Does this? Okay, you know, that would have been a really bad thing to do if that was actually going to explode in response to a knife swipe. Okay. Oh, hey, look at that. A lot of those chains are gone. Could this be something? Let's see, can I shoot these off? No, I can't shoot those off. That's wild. Worth the candle? Thank you. I will look into that. I am actually looking for a fiction audiobook to enjoy. I have many non-fiction audiobooks to listen to and to sort of chill to. I could use some more fiction. No, what I remember hearing the of the axe. And it actually is worth it to me to try to run back here and see if I can replicate it, but not until I've saved this game. Ah, oh, crap, I need a small key to get in there. There's a small key in here. Ah, I took the small key from in here. That all makes sense. If it's an environmental hazard that you can take advantage of. I mean, if it's an environmental hazard that can happen to you, it should be something that you can exploit to take advantage of to take care of an enemy. RE4 is pretty good about this across the board. Now, where can I get another small key?
I see you took care of a
Yes, I did save 80 times on my first playthrough. That's the way that I play Resident Evil is my first time through a particular difficulty. I'm not going to give myself any challenge restrictions whatsoever, and then after that, I'll be demanding and do my rocket launcher run. I wish I'd kept the small key. See.
Care of a request, did ya? I can tell by the look on your face.
Leon's not cashing it in. It's just, at this point, it's just academic that he took care of a request. The merchant just likes observing. Actually, I wonder if anybody in chat could give me a hand with this. Can you do a search for where the small key locations in the village are? Because I think that if I advance past Del Lago, I'm going to lose the opportunity to come back and get these treasures, which is what I would like to have sort of vouchsafed on this playthrough. Rescuing Ashley? Okay. Well, it's also way the hell out here, and I don't really have any other reason to come back this way, so... Still be... Would still be rad to not have to come back all the way out here, because I don't think there's anything else interesting that happens out here. Oh, that's right. You rescue Ashley, and then the storm sets in, and that blows a lot of debris around and stuff. Okay, so those treasures I can't get. I can go to the farm, get those treasures. There's that treasure by the church gate, and then there's proceeding to Del Lago. Okay, I got the first living room of the village chief's manor. Okay, that's where... No, that's start. Yes, okay. Thank you. Go check that one out. Evening, Mexican Stings. Good to see you. How have you been? This is excellent. Thank you so much. Alright. Up to the Big Cheese's room. Unless I already got this one. So, okay. Second small key. Living room of Chief's Manor. Southwest corner of the room. South is down, west is left. From Leon's point of view, it's to the right. Alright, looks like I already got that one. No, that's fine. Pacing of text is fine. Oh, good. I hope good. I've only been to LA on a few occasions, all for work, and I have heard mixed takes on it. Chapter 3, Merchant Station, between the fish farm and the quarry. Players are facing the merchant. Turn left and go down the ladder. Oh, okay. Yes. I know where that is. That's just a little further past where I am. Oh, cool. I hope you're able to find a good place down there. LA is a place unlike any I have been before. It's amazing how just sprawling and large it is flying in. Like, it's weird. I don't think I know any other city where you could probably just like walk for days and days and days, provided you were not impeded by anything other than physical obstacles, and not run out of city. It's wild. Maybe New York City, but LA is I don't know. LA's the one I've been to. I've been to New York City. Okay. So there's one up here by the church. I was in San Francisco recently for GDC, and the kind of the area that I stayed in was a hotel that was, I think it threaded the needle through some of the rougher parts of what is called, I believe, the Tenderloin District. My takeaway is that if you take the wrong left at the wrong time of day, you're gonna get your ass kicked. And while walking to meet some friends for a meal, at one point in the trip, there actually was somebody trying to fight with a doorman over there, somebody just yelling over there, and then an unrelated fist fight just slightly further beyond there, and I'm like, where the hell am I? There we go. Yeah, it does. Not being unfamiliar with cities in terms of poise and attitude. The stare straight ahead and don't think about anybody else, or else is not an attitude I'm. Oh no! It's not something that comes very naturally to me, and I'm told that's the only way to handle that sort of thing. So it's fairly hard for me to be around people who are suffering as widely as that. They straight up don't know how to process it. Aha! Clever snake hiding under the dead bodies. Okay, a few more treasures under my belt. We're doing this again. Oh. somebody else go rogue over here? Or is that just this, this thing being wonky? Oh my god. Yeah, I straight up have zero frame of reference for how to deal with that. Okay. Everything is down one layer below. How do I get there? I'm guessing this is maybe on my way back from the quarry? Let's see. Can't stab a man who's already stabbing. That's a rule. There.
Sorry.
Still not hitting him. Wow. There we go. Oh, thank you for asking. It's going well. It's going well. Don't want to get into it too much on stream, but yeah, it's going well. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I wonder if any of these Ganados recognize it as sarcasm. Well, he is a nice young man. Anyone would make the mistake of stabbing me in the neck when I'm writhing and my internal parasite is trying to escape.
Good luck finding someone big enough to use this thing.
God, Leon. I am so glad that they kept this here. There are so many small things that are very goofy from the first game that in the effort to make this serious modern horror game, they could have just sort of like just snipped out. But all these crows hanging out in one place, and you can throw a flash grenade and kill them all. That sort of like really video gamey gratifying thing they kept in here, and I think that's really cool. With one of them having something extremely valuable. Yes, evening swimming. That's exactly it. Oh yeah, no. Folks are doing well here. We are not sick. I came back from GDC, and there were like upwards of like 2,000 plus people there, and plenty of people came back with, you know, of course, stories of having caught COVID and that sort of thing. And I came back, and then within a few days, there was like a little bit of a scratchy throat, kind of a headache, which is nothing, which is fairly unremarkable in itself, given some of the allergies that are coming up. But I was thinking about it. It's like, well, I could have contracted something unpleasant from the 2,400 people I was just around in close proximity for a week, or I could have contracted it from the like 5 2-year-olds that I was around for 15 minutes, like at preschool, because there's about the same likelihood of contracting something new and novel. It's amazing. Catch a disease you never caught before by interacting with somebody who flew across the country, or you can interact with somebody who's just eating things off the ground, because that's where they're at in their life. Exactly. Mahafun, I am fine skipping back to November. That is my birthday month, and it's, you know, the hot months are nothing to me anyway. I am feeling okay about handling the heat. This is where the small key, I think, should be this year. The real thing I'm dreading is having to deal with smoke season again. Which...
Took care of her request, did ya? I can tell by the look on your face.
which is now a staple. Okay, so that's the small key drawer. And I should be able to find a small key down here, I believe. Autumn is my favorite month in general, so autumn is my favorite month. Autumn is my favorite season in general, so anything that gets us there faster pleases me. Okay, merchant station between the fish farm and quarry. Facing the merchant, turn left, go down the ladder. Find the lock drawer. The small key. Oh, that's the lock drawer location. In the shack on the western end of the fish farm, near the structure where you find the gas tank. Oh, there's a small key in there. So how far back is that? There, let me go upstairs here. This is cool. I was hoping to find something novel to do with this playthrough and not just be, watch Jay go through and slaughter everything with New Game Plus ammunition. And this gives me that goal. So, okay. We're going back to the fish farm, which is... Where's the fish farm at? Underlod, Village Chief's House, Valley. No, the fish farm is... Okay, no, I'm getting my save files mixed up. Fish farm is on my professional save file, so I actually haven't gotten there yet. Cool. That's a locked treasure chest. I am hoping so too. We did have one season one year that did not have a severe fire season, and I'm hoping that we can get another one of those.
Blue medallion.
I often say the names of things after I shoot them. All right. So Dan, you're EST, right? So you're sort of on the, if not East Coast, eastward. Is that right? Okay. In fact, I think most of you are East Coast. Mexican Sting and I are probably the only two who are PST. So this is interesting. I remember. I mean, you get to see this guy like right after he gets killed, right at the start. I think in the OG, you don't actually get to see his fate. You just see him get tossed into the water here. Oh, this is funny. Watch this with the binoculars. The binocular jostling there is very funny to me because that's not caused by any kind of shaking on Leon's. He's just doing that himself.
Looks like there's something over there.
Well, I'm glad to have started earlier tonight than I have usually. I'm hoping to target this time frame more reliably moving forward, because it does mean I get more East Coast folks out or EST folks out. There we go. I mean, this is the thing. What I was taught when I was a wee one, I was taught that just because you get an animal when it's cute and it's easy to take care of, you are not absolved of your responsibility to that creature when it becomes large, unwieldy, and difficult. So I've got to say, despite all the transgressions, the mutilations, the beheadings, the eating of spoiled foods that the Ganados indulge, they are taking care of an animal that relies on them. Yeah, 3 a.m. is where I've hit a point now where if I'm as a night owl, if I'm going to bed at 2, I'm like, all right, let's get serious about how we're spending our time. But if I'm up till 3, I start feeling bad about my life choices. Yeah, I think that's it. I think they love it. Actually, one of the something that I really enjoyed. Hold on, what time is it? 54. Okay, good. We're still doing good, pretty good on time. One thing that I really enjoyed from the OG Resident Evil 4 is the is it Del Lago that is confusingly named, which I think means the lake. Yeah, if you get the character model trophy for it, it actually has it strung up on fishing wire as if it had been caught, and I think that's very clever. If not that, then something else. No, okay, never mind. I'm thinking of a different game entirely. Also a Shinji Mikami joint. I'm thinking the trophy for one of the aquatic things in Evil Within. Shamu! I haven't thought about Shamu in a long time. Alright. Let's see how well ladder strategy works on hardcore. I mean, it should work better. you go. Take that fall damage. Ah, I missed my opportunity to use that bomb against him. That's what I'm waiting on.
Present for you.
There we go.
Next.
Oh. See if I can kill him with a knife. Yep, there we go. Just a mountain of bodies on this ladder. Ah. There we go. Yes, flashbang knife combo is very satisfying. I also like how I also like how much damage the knife appears to do. It is genuinely a very good tactical weapon to build up. I remember the knife being like one of the biggest surprises in the original RE4, because the knife is just so traditionally useless. That's the first thing you throw into an item chest in any Resident Evil, but it was just invaluable and also a part of Leon's character in RE4, and I like that. So I'm glad to see that it is similar here. Just instinctively, I knew that that was the first thing to bulk up. Wait a minute. Flashbangs will kill El Gigantes? Really? I don't think I knew that. But significantly damage, is what I'm hearing. That's great. Antique pipe. Somebody just wanted to take care of their antique pipe and keep it from vandals. Is that... Yeah, there we go. Another barrel. Oh man, Snake Town in here. Snake Town, USA. Population snakes. Yeah. That sounds amazing. That also is going to help with certain characters on Mercenaries. Uh, the Garradors on Mercenaries can be quite difficult, especially for Hunk for me. I just have a hard time getting him positioned so that he can just rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat away at them. So, but again, it is also possible he doesn't get flashbangs. But I'll see. One thing about Hunk that I wish had been kept stylistically similar to the original is, you know, when you get them, a Hunk has got this kind of like goofy all-American sort of vibe to him in the original Mercenaries. In particular, the football punt that you get when you get a Ganado's sort of legs out, and he just runs up and just this.
This is what I'm talking
The camera angle, the camera shake, the sound effects, and the damage that it does, all of it, it's memorable and crunchy, and I miss it. I feel like they also nerfed his neck snap a little bit by giving it just long enough of an animation that you can't abuse it as readily as you could in the original. In the original, I remember you, especially if I got to the end of a Mercenaries run with Hunk, and got to the end of a Mercenaries run with Hunk, and had a flashbang. I could throw it. Yes, no, that's right. You do get flashbangs with him, because this is a strategy of throwing a flashbang, stunning everybody, and then just doing a ton of neck snaps. There we go. Hunk was also fun because did Leon get a TMP in the original Mercenaries? I don't remember. Yeah, Krauser was a blast. Krauser was the only character in the Mercenaries who did not play like another Leon, basically. Which, as much as I like the Mercenaries and as much as I like the novelty of playing as other characters, they did all kind of feel sort of somewhat samey. But Krauser had his own special weapon, special attack, everything. Oh wait, I missed a small key in here. One of my whole purposes for being so thorough in here. Oh, that's right, Wesker. Didn't Wesker have his Wesker powers, like a real hard, there we go, like a strong chest punch or something? Yeah. I always find it very interesting how they tried to add Wesker's powers into games where he is playable in some way. I I remember in... Did you play the re-release of Resident Evil 0? Um, what a mess this is. So I have 4 things I should be able to get this to fit, but how do I summon the spatial problem-solving ability to do it? That's always the question. Alright. There. That's how to do it. So, I'm one of the Resident Evil old style Resident Evil diehards who really liked Zero, and the remaster version had an unlockable at the end where you could swap Billy out for Wesker, and Wesker could charge up his eye lasers and fire them at people. But on the whole, you were still very locked into the tank control Resident Evil. So the kind of versatility, I mean, one of the things that makes Wesker so versatile in these things, in the cutscenes, is that he's got vertical momentum and he can actually move at a pace. Lacking that, it doesn't feel as overwhelming.
Good stuff, stranger. Got some rare things on sale, stranger.
Doesn't feel as overwhelming as you want Wesker's strong powers to feel.
Rubbish, it makes no difference. The price, well, that's our choice to make. This is what I'm talking about. Fine work. Well done. You've proven yourself reliable. Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
Wait a minute, Space Hamlet. Where's that from? That's I can hear it in my head, but I can't remember the source. Oh, you mean the Scorpion, like the very first boss you run into?
What's that? How have we procured these curiosities?
Probably,
You don't want to know, mate.
I mean, I would assume there's probably a Mercenaries, I think there's a Mercenaries RE5, and the whole thing of RE5 is teamwork, right? So...
In for a bit of rubbish collection, stranger? Finders keepers. Don't get yourself...
Yeah, this guy is he's super over the top, and I like that. I think that they maybe could have reduced the frequency of his VO lines, and that would have helped the impact a little more.
Killed now. Welcome. I've got something new for you, mate. I'll buy almost anything. Thank you. Anything else I can help?
So you have a TMP for me.
All my wares are in tip-top shape. I assure.
Oh, I'm gonna save up for that. Oh, really? What did you think of 6? Oh, that's right! We played that a long time ago. Did we, also...
Got a select
Did we play, campaign multiplayer, or did we play the sort of bonus mode together, where, like, zombies drop in on you? If, like you each have a horde of zombies going after you. Okay. Alright. Leon is hauling ass all the way back over to the other side of the damn map so we can unlock one drawer. Because that is how we roll on a completionist run. Yeah. So I also, at a later time, got to play RE6 with somebody in the same room, split screen. And let me tell you what, I strongly think that that is the setting that RE6 was designed to accommodate. I think RE6 is designed very largely to be multiplayer. But multiplayer with somebody in the room next to you who you can talk to and communicate with easily, completely different experience, a ton of fun. And I was playing it with somebody who was a big RE6 skeptic, didn't like the game, didn't think there was any world in which he could like the game, and we had a blast. And I'm like, all right, this is it. This is it. The game was made for a setting that it would probably never get reviewed in. Yeah, I mean, RE6's story is kind of... I mean, RE7 is really a big response to that, right? Just, all right, we have this whole load of canon behind us.
Hello, stranger.
How can we situate a story within it so that it feels like it's part of the same universe, but not honor that bulk, or not feel obligated to? Which is, I mean, when you have a series as long running as this, that's a real question. Wait, really? It PC did not get online co-op until recently. That's wild. Okay. There it is. Wait, what? Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. I saw the, anyway. Dan, I agree. I am torn between directing the save file toward a hand cannon run versus an infinite rocket launcher run, and I think I've got to make a decision right now which one of those I'm going to go for, because they're probably about the same level of a peseta investment. I feel like the hand cannon design in this less resembles Dan Smith's demon gun, which makes me sad a little bit. Which I remember Leon's hand cannon had the Dan Smith resting your giant sidearm on your shoulder pose, and looked a bit like his demon gun. Oh, wrong way. I don't need to go back there. Ever again.
Oh, nothing but the finest way.
I straight up have no need to do that. Alright! Alright, this thing.
Hello, stranger.
Alright,
Welcome.
rocket launcher it is.
Can I interest you in? A deal well struck. Pleasant travel.
I'm going to sell as much crap as I possibly can
Welcome.
in order to get that.
Oh, haven't been kind to us. Suit yourself, stranger.
Really? Man, that's interesting. I wonder. I mean, I wonder why that is. I know that. I assume that the Resident Evil series has traditionally been a console first. Um, a console first development process. And to that end, would also expect that, you know, the thing about a console, great thing about that is just sort of like uniform hardware. But then with different PC specs, it's just kind of a crapshoot as to whether or not you're going to get the same, you know, whether it's going to work on different machines. So I wonder if that's at the heart of it. I do want to see if Leon's got the hand cannon pose. Oh, I see. I don't know much about that at all.
Why not treat you?
Oh my god, look at this. Snakes and eggs everywhere. Snakes, eggs, and fish. This attaché case has got a stink. Alright, storage. Hand cannon. Let's move some junk around here. Alright. Start by organizing our healing items. I'm gonna put all my perishables over here. I like to think of the herbs as a sort of preservative. Let's put my explosives over here. Put my aerosols here. Alright. That feels reasonable. Oh, that can actually get loaded. Maybe we can make room here. Alright. Oh yes, I am a purist for manual sorting. I auto sorted one time and felt compromised. All right. So let's use. I'm always down for more bolts for the mine thrower. Alright. So that cleared up some space. There. Wrong thing. Oh man, you don't get the you don't get to see Leon with the weapon equipped. Oh yes, I have an eye patch. You don't get to see Leon with the weapon equipped in the in the inventory screen anymore. I forgot about that. Yes, I like to think of the merchant like watching Leon handle these eggs and snakes and fish and just sort of licking his lips, desperately hungry. Knowing all of it is raw, not caring. Let's go. Yeah, let's go and save while we're here. I enjoy the zen of it. There's a game that somebody made a puzzle game based on that. Actually, it's on Steam for $3, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. All right, let's start that boat and fight that fish.
Take a look. Something's bound to catch your eye.
Got the calories this man is burning on this mission. What's this? Yeah, there we go. I am very happy that they streamlined controls for interacting with the environment. If you are sprinting when you come to a sort of like contextual button prompt to hop over something or climb something, that it just automatically does it. Especially when you're running around, it results in many, many, many fewer mishaps that get your ass killed. Okay. No. No, I have to do this. Swimmy, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to save before I do, because I don't want to cover that ground again. I'm very glad you know exactly what I'm thinking.
Break's over, I suppose.
Break is over. Who else is coming through here? Who is your other customer? You told me I was the only one. Alright, so this is a thing you can do in the original, and apparently you can do it here too. Yeah. I seem to remember I seem to remember you seeing more of Leon in third person getting chomped in the original. That's true, actually. I mean, maybe it's the stench of Leon's attaché case that's drawing big fish here. Like how the eye patch, like, I think the intention is probably it's like, oh, let's give you a badass accessory, but I actually feel like it makes him more absurd. I mean, it pushes the ridiculousness just that much further. Oh, that must be some whiplash, Mahafun. Or is that just like the range of her interests? That it's like Harvest Moon on one, Harvest Moon and Resident Evil 4 Fish Fight is like, it's in the same, equally appeals to the same person. Oh, right, L1. How did that not hit you?
Think you can swallow me whole, huh?
Oh. Oh! Nope! I have a good first round of hitting this guy and then nothing. Woo! I don't know how that did not hit me. Oh no! I got like one more hit left in me. Maybe two.
Where'd you go?
No!
Christ. I don't think the boat can take another hit like that. You tough son of a bitch.
Oh. I don't know if this is the right way to go. Alright, cool.
I need to do something.
Oh, well, that's actually making me a little motion sick. Wait, what? How did I get money? Oh man, I feel like that QuickTime prompt should have lasted a little bit longer. I thought that maybe that was the end of it. I don't know. Oh, let me. Let's see here. Sorry, give me 1 second. There's that. There's that. All right, cool. Bam. All right, one more time.
Think you can swallow me whole, huh?
Swimmy, didn't you mention that its HP refills completely if it is allowed to go underneath the boat? Oh, that's gonna hit me. Oh, that's gonna hit me. Oh, no, it didn't.
Where'd you go?
Die!
You tough son of a bitch.
Oh! Woo! Whew, alright. I think it's interesting how they compressed this the game here at the end of this fight and the beginning of the next chapter, because they cut out one of the QTEs of Leon slashing at the rope, so which I feel is a fine thing to cut. That seems like an unnecessary skill check at the end of a big boss fight. And the other, and him stumbling into a cabin, I think like just putting him on the boat and giving the player free roam like that is a good thing to do. So, all right, that puts us at the end of the stream for the night. So thank you everybody for coming out. It's been great to have a regular crowd out here again, and I think a lot of that owes to having a decent start time. So, Swimmy Hafoon, Space Hamlet, Dan, Mexican Sting. Missing anybody? Dan, I'm pretty sure I said Dan. But anyway, yes, all of you, have a good night, and I'll see you next week on Wednesday. Evening, Ren. It's good to see you again. Also, Roundbelay, if you're still with us. I mean, you know, on the stream, if you're still with us, obviously. I'm sure you're among the living. Anyway.